Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Wareham Finance Committee. It is 6:30 p.m. and we're in room 27 of Wareham Town Hall and also on Zoom and Wareham Media. And I'd like to call this meeting to order and call the roll. We have Andrea Piccarelli, Heidi Churchill, Brianna King, Jerry Stefanski, Jody Smith, Norma Scoggin, and do we have Alan Slavin as well? Yes. Please allow him in as a panelist. And we have Alan Slavin by Zoom. All right, Alan, can you hear us?
Yeah, fine. Just so you know, in the last 10 minutes, everything you guys were saying was available.
Oh.
That's my fault.
And I do mean everything.
Okay. Well, hopefully there was nothing embarrassing in there, but thank you for letting us know. Yeah. All right. So we will begin with Finance Committee matters. If Judith Whiteside, Select Board Chair, could please come forward and sit in the middle seat here. I'm told that we'll be able to see you on camera that way. Yes, please. Right there, right across from me.
Thank you.
And if you could please just identify yourself.
My name is Judith Whiteside. I'm Chair of the Wareham Board of Select Board.
I'm not seeing her on the screen right now. Okay, got it. All right. And we have you here to talk about three matters that are on the warrant for town meeting on October 28th. The first one is Article 11, the Chapter 90, Section 17C acceptance. Could you explain that one to us, please?
Sure. Chapter 90, Section 17C allows towns to post on either end or at the main entrances to the city or town a speed limit of 25 miles an hour in thickly settled areas. You have to adopt that section of the law. Then you let the state know that you have done that. And then that is the speed limit in thickly settled places, which would be the entirety of Onset Village, the entirety of most of Main Street, and probably most of Swift's Beach as well, I'm guessing. The former road commissioners, because I need to tell you, the governor did sign all of the charter changes on August 1st of this year. And so the new charter, taking that out and changing the date of the budget will be on the line. The former road commissioners adopted the DOT regulations about road rules in Massachusetts. So I sent all of that information to the current Board of Select Boards. And we chose last night to recommend favorable action to the town meeting. I think it will make things easier for municipal maintenance as well as the police chief, because I was taking the minutes for the previous road commissioners, and they would have people come in and say, well, you know, I live in this area and people go too fast. Well, if we listened to everybody, if the road commissioners had listened to all of those people, first of all, the list was this long. And one of the former road commissioners is actually sitting here, Ms. Gray. Can she come up? Because she's going to be speaking on the...
Sure, yeah. Please join us.
I'm sorry, on the playground one as well. So it was important all along to have standardized rules and regulations for the town. When the previous road commissioners were road commissioners, they were stymied, I think is a good word, by not being able to accomplish what they wanted to do, which was reduce speeds in certain areas. There's not enough money to pay for the new signs. So it was an annoying experience. Is that can you identify yourself?
Marie Gregg.
So that's why we have recommended that it be adopted.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
I just have a comment, and I support it. I don't know. I mean, it's really
you could put signs up every 20 feet and people just ignore them. Without enforcement, it's almost like talking on your cell phone. People do it everywhere. Wareham probably hasn't written a ticket in a year. But I'm just saying, it's a good idea, and I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but without enforcement, it just makes it tough.
Well, it makes it tough. One of our members suggested that we adopt cameras and use cameras to catch people, but you can't do that in Massachusetts, it's against the law. It is available in other parts of the country, but it is not available in Massachusetts. And talk about, it hurts to do something and then have somebody just ignore it. If you picked up trash on Sunday or Saturday, on Tuesday, the junk was back there. It was really disheartening. Anyway, yes.
It's unfortunate with the cameras, the technology that's come out. I mean, it's getting,
Can't do it.
you can't keep up with it.
Right.
But I understand we can't do it. I'm not disputing that. It's
Yeah.
just,
It was a great idea, but illegal.
It's very effective where it is allowed.
Yeah.
Right.
Other questions or
I have a
comments?
question.
Yes.
And this goes back to Brianna when we were going through the budget process last year.
I was thinking exactly
And you
that.
questioned why we needed 15 electronic, this is your speed. But what I've noticed a lot more of those signs being implemented on sides of the street, but there's no speed limit sign. So I might be going 38, but I have no clue if I'm breaking the law or not because there's no speed limit sign. So it almost renders the signs almost useless because you don't know the speed limit in the area.
On 105, when you go from Route 6 and you go up 105 and you're right next to where the old women's, what was the name of it? It was the club, the women's club, just before you get to Plum Corner, there's a speed sign and it has the speed limit underneath the camera. So that I think it's 25. And when I come down the road, I'm doing 27 and it's flashing red at me. I get to 25 and it turns green and lets me know. So that's a different kind of sign that hopefully is what Derek has in mind, Mr. Sullivan.
I think going into onset, I noticed it. I think I passed 2 of them and it didn't change color. It just showed me what speed limit I was going.
I've seen signs down South Carolina. If you were speeding, you got a thumbs down. If you're doing the speed limit, you got a smiley face. Who would have figured,
Good idea.
But that's where the technology is out there, I mean, it's.
Well, it is really dangerous. I was speaking to Mr. Deacon earlier. I've almost been T-bumped twice by somebody coming out of the Damien's location right onto Route 6. And we know from past experience that there were near fatalities and in fact fatalities on that road.
Yeah.
People, and this would not count on state roads because the state has their own limits.
Right.
But this would be anything that is our roads.
45 is too fast for the speed limit right there with the kind of traffic that
It's
we have.
terrible.
And it's not, and there's nothing we can do about it.
No.
Other questions?
I did just want to make a comment, what you said about the sign and ons, because I've seen that one. In most towns that have the ones where it just displays your speed and doesn't give you anything else, they have signs that you mount on them, so whatever area they're taking it to, they mount the sign for the speed limit in that spot, so it sounds like we're just missing that piece.
Yeah. We're
Well,
just
we're
now-
using the big police ones that
Yeah,
don't have
big
that ability.
electronic
I think
flashing
what
ones.
Derek is talking about are smaller ones that do have the ability to have the sign attached to it. That's what I believe.
I don't think those have been implemented yet, but they apparently are being assembled and
Yeah, we
they will
haven't-
be out there soon.
Oh.
Right.
I think there's one in, I don't even know if it's considered Wareham, towards Red Brook in Shangri-La.
Okay.
There's one right around a pretty dangerous corner and I think it speeds 20 and it does go off, cause I drive by it. It's
Yeah.
like heading from Plymouth, Red Brook Y
Oh, okay.
to Shangri-La, it does
Okay.
have that,
And
but.
new cars, they tell you right on the dashboard whether you're going the speed limit or not.
Often,
Like,
yes.
whoa.
Or they at least have the speed limit, little
Yeah,
speed
yes,
icon.
but it's right there and, through your wheel.
Any other questions or comments? All right.
It was a favorable recommendation, 400.
We
and
all
we
have-
gave you the.
Have that in front of us, and we will not vote tonight. It is Rosh Hashanah, and I'm not gonna take any votes as long as until Alan is back with us next week in person, presumably. But we will, and we don't usually vote on any articles on the night that we hear them, but thank you for that presentation, and let's move on to Article 14, the Town Hall exterior wall and window restoration.
Yes. The article is for $80,000. It is to do an assessment of the windows as well as the masonry on this building. In the packet that we sent to you, a couple of weeks ago, there's a graph or a picture of how many, how many floors there are and how many windows there are. I think it's 179 or some incredible number of windows. And the $80,000 is only to pay engineers or other professionals to do an assessment of the outside of the building, not the inside of the building, only the outside. It's only the first step because you can't take remedial action until you know when remedial action is necessary. It is an historic building. We have spent money on it in the past, including fixing the roof, both roofs, one the slate and one the flat. So it's not unprecedented to spend CPC money on.
And to be clear, from this point on in this meeting, what we're talking about are CPC grants that have already been approved by the Community Preservation Committee. For anyone who might be watching, next step is for us and the select board to recommend whatever action we think is appropriate to town meeting, and then a final vote at town meeting will decide whether this money is to be spent or not. So, questions about this?
I just want to make for the public to understand that it does not impact anybody's tax rate. The money has already been collected. It is not money that can be spent on potholes or speed signs or school buses or anything else. There are only 4 categories, and this is one of the categories.
And this would be historic preservation, one of the
Yes, ma'am.
CPC categories. Yeah, I think that's a really important point, that CPC money is designated, it is basically kind of a surcharge on property tax on higher value property. And it is collected, it is used only for these specific purposes. It can't be used for paying salaries or anything else, and it must be used. And it is also partially matched by the Commonwealth, which is a big plus for the town of Wareham. Questions?
Of course,
Yeah.
How old is the building and are these the original windows?
1938, I believe, or 37, and some of them are original. And I'm guessing, and I'm not, I'm not a contractor or anything, but I'm guessing there's lead paint involved.
No doubt.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Derek gonna RFP the $80,000?
No, he doesn't have to because it's Dave Menard already found the company that could do it. And again, I think in the presentation, we had the name of the company and examples of the work that they had done in Boston and in other cities. So no, he doesn't have to.
Okay,
But any work beyond that would have to be.
right, okay.
This is
Thank you.
strictly the sort of the study, the evaluation.
It's an evaluation.
And my understanding, after talking to Derek about this, is that it would potentially form the basis for getting grants, further grants to actually do the work, or to at least partially pay for the work. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to Article 17, the Lopes Playground and Perimeter Pathway. And I believe, Ms. Grigg, that is why you're here as well.
Judy will speak of it, but if I can answer any other questions, I'd be happy to.
I have to say that Marie has been the champion of this project for years, and it is a really important project in my opinion, as well as hers, obviously. The original playground was built in the 80s. I can remember taking my kids, who were I think 2 and 3, to the Hammond School, and they painted blocks of wood, and I learned how to drive a nail gun. Not very successfully, I have to say. Over the years, there have been improvements made. and particularly by core, which is one of the things that Marie can speak to, Ms. Green can speak to. The playground is very well loved, very well used, particularly by families with small children, younger children. There are 2 basketball courts in the location, and the entire location is in fact dedicated to recreation under the deeds that the town acquired the property. What we are asking, we being Derek, myself, and the rest of you, is great, is to have the CPC article for $750,000, we recommended it last night, approved at the town meeting. $100,000 of that we already know will be coming back to the town in the form of a park grant, PARC. That, we learned that last week, and I think I have to say that both Greg and I were beyond happy. That money would go to repay the work that would be done for the perimeter path, and the perimeter path will be accessible to all with mobility issues. And it may have way stations around it with, birdhouses or a QR code telling you that that's a cattail or, whatever, that kind of stuff. And it would be a perimeter walk. Part of the grant, we hope, will go to making new signage and working on the parking lot, which at the moment is full of ruts and things like that. $650,000 will be spent, $30,000 of it on the engineering, and the rest of it will be spent on playground equipment, installation, and the shipping of the equipment. The playground equipment, we've given you 2 kind of what they might look like. This is one company and the other company is this one. Ms. Greg, again, has been doing a lot of the work. That the playground would become, the wooden structure would be taken down by municipal maintenance and disposed of by the town. It is arsenic wood, and therefore it really has to go. What would be left would be the gazebo, which has been re-roofed and refurbished by Core and other people. The other equipment that has been placed there, either by moving it from other playgrounds in town or bought by Core, will stay because it is accessible and appropriate. The matting that is there right now, we can repurpose some of it. And underneath the playground, it would be shredded material, not poured in place. There may be some concern about the cost of this playground. And I would tell you that in terms of the size of the playground and the number of the pieces of equipment, it's more than 2 or 3 times bigger than the other playgrounds that have been recently finished in Wareham. Plymouth has a brand new.
Vaughan has a few new playgrounds. Middleborough just built one, and they're all about the same price. What happened is in the 1980s, none of these codes for ADA were here, none of the safety codes, and a lot of things. It's not the same with playgrounds anymore. So the price tag is large, but also the playgrounds that I've been involved in the town, Shangri-La, Lukey, Oakdale, and now Swifts, municipal maintenance did a big chunk of the work. Our hope is not to have Mr. Menard have to take on this project too. The only thing he has committed to, and we'll be happy he's doing it, is to demo the wooden structure. Half of it is gone because through the years of Core, we've had to remove things, and the town had to remove things because they were unsafe, broken. The wooden structure now is, it needs to be removed, but we don't want Mr. Menard to have to do things because I think we ask CPC for so much money for these playgrounds, but we never have enough to finish. So I think this amount will do that without having Mr. Menard have to, like he's doing at Bayview, driving the trucks and doing all that. So we want to, he's great and he's awesome, but we need to free him up.
We also need to have professional installers
Yes.
we need to
Yeah.
do it
Right.
absolutely correctly and not worry about it for the next 50 years, more or less.
Questions? Alan, I realized I haven't asked you if you'd like to ask any questions.
I did
On the previous
email
one,
it.
just very quickly,
Okay,
just as an example, mine have, there's no posted speed limit. The speed limit on Route 6 of the state, of course, is 50 miles an hour, almost to the town hall. What I would suggest is that if we can modify the article to make sure that the speed signs that there is a speed limit sign on the, posted on the sign. But the cost of doing the sign would be irrelevant at this point overall. They also, these signs would flash if you're over the speed limit. My only concern that I've expressed is that unfortunately, Wareham, we have a lot of areas that are, VE flood zones. And of course, this particular playground is that particular piece also, so whatever they can do to make sure we're not gonna have that playground get flooded out. Unfortunately, the weather has changed quite a bit, and there seems to be more and more extreme incidences.
To Mr.
Thank
Mr. Slavens, if I may.
Yes.
We've already had preliminary conversations with Josh Farady, our land use coordinator, as well as Ms. Slavin, the chair of the Conservation Commission. And the material that would be used in the perimeter path is acceptable to them, the one that we think that we would be using. And there isn't going to be any poured in place material. It's going to be what's there now. So when the tide comes in, and the tide is going to come in, we understand that. But what's happened, for instance, at Swifts, is that it can be raked back into place, and it's held in place by those mats, whatever those mats are called.
so that's all taken into consideration in the design.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And
And-
engineered wood fiber is, it's a safety component, it goes 18 inches deep, it has to be for a drop zone, and also, we found it, Swifts is, in most of the playgrounds, is that you just have to rake it through, and the matting lifts, which is a big money saver for a lot of municipalities, because if this was a poured-in-place playground, it would be 4 times as much.
And we
And-
wouldn't be able to put it in.
Did I also see that there was, part of the budget was for some drainage improvements? Is that what you're talking about, or is that
Yes.
something else?
Well, in between the two courts, there's a little storm drainage problem, and Dave Menard, and they've looked at it, and that will be addressed.
Part of it, okay. Other questions, comments?
That was my first question. It's just been the only answered. When do you plan on doing this? When are you hoping to do it? Let me put it that way.
Spring.
As soon as the town meeting vote is certified by the clerk, then Mr. Madden from GIF will continue to work. He has already done a draft preliminary layout for the playground, and so the additional work would be done by that firm, GIF. And as soon as, and he's preparing the bid package as well for us. So as soon as we can,
And
like
now, yeah.
now.
Well, I was just thinking like they're doing the park down onset, kind of in the off season. Hopefully they're done by next
We don't.
season,
Yeah.
let's put it that way. Same idea.
I think what happens too is we get the CPC money, and I think the delay in the RFPs and all that just increases the cost. That's what I've learned through the process.
Yeah.
So I told Judy the day after town meeting, I would love a bid package to go out and then have just a time limit. And these companies that we've connected with, these two, I've connected with a lot, but they've gotten back to me, they're on the state contract. So we don't have to, we'll go through an RFP, but they're ready. I said, what is your timeline? And they said 6 to 8 weeks. And one company, what's nice about these two companies, they're from Massachusetts. One's from Marshfield, Derek will have the final say, and one is from Western Mass. So I found that if you keep it here and you have issues, that it's an easier process.
Other questions, comments?
Will the basketball courts remain or will they be redone?
Because they'll be resurfaced, they're in really good shape,
Yeah.
the kids, they like Hammond, but
Yeah.
Special Olympics plays there and practices a lot, but they'll be resurfaced, we'll add new backboards, and that will be that.
and the new backboards. They're the commercial grade,
Hammers.
which is
Yes.
why I said to Dave, no, you made that figure up. And you saw it on the list of costs. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So they are, you can hang on the rim and you're not gonna bust them, or, you're not, they're commercial grade as opposed to what you might find
They're like the hammer
in my
boards.
backyard, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've hopefully designed something that will last again, 40, 50 years or something. Of course, it's not going to, but the equipment will be accessible to all. And I think that's really important. It's more important to me the older I get and the more mobility challenged I am. I understand,
I will say, as someone whose daughter played there from the age of 3, and who has, friends and family members who are physically challenged in different ways, I think being inclusive is really important, and I'm proud of us for taking that step.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on then.
All set?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next, and Judy, we probably need you, you were also gonna talk about the East, the East Wareham, and we've got
Yeah,
Lisa
I can
Spencer
stay
as
with
well.
her.
Yeah, why don't you stay up here for that?
Sure.
That discussion as well. So this is Article 13.
Did I just get really short or something?
This is Article 13, East Wareham School Exterior Restoration, and we have Judith Whiteside and Lisa Spencer. Would you just introduce yourself, please?
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Spencer. I'm the CEO at South Shore Community Action Council in Plymouth. We are based in Plymouth, but we cover about 84 towns throughout the South Shore, as well as the Cape and Islands for fuel assistance. And certainly, we're very excited at the prospect of getting some assistance with the East Wareham School renovation. Sure, you've driven by it and seen the siding already. And we have a lot of work left to do on the inside, but any assistance we can get with the funding for the siding would be greatly appreciated. We've been providing services to Wareham, typically about $1.2 to $1.4 million a year, primarily in energy assistance. We serve about 11,000 households in our 38-town fuel assistance territory. But in Wareham, it's typically about somewhere over 1,000 households. And we also weatherize homes, a significant number in Wareham, and provide heating system repair and replacement as well. And then, of course, the current location at 314 Onset Street, we have our Head Start program currently, and we're able to serve 68 of our 71 funded Head Start slots. And then we have 8 funded early Head Start slots. So we're hoping that when we're able to open the East Wareham School as our Wareham Head Start and childcare program, that we'll be able to get to approximately 100 students. We're hoping to expand the early Head Start, which is children 0 to 3. And we're hoping at some point we'll be able to obtain funding for after school, some after school programming. So we're really excited about it. I hope you've had an opportunity to drive by lately, because we're thrilled with the progress on the outside. The inside is still a work in progress. Happy to answer any questions, and thank you for the opportunity.
I have a couple of questions. This is, I can throw a stone and hit your building.
Okay.
It looks gorgeous. It really,
Oh,
they're
it's
really
getting
doing
there.
it great. Yeah, it's getting there. It's time consuming, but I just got some questions. I'm totally support this, so it's just for my own knowledge. You already answered how many kids, the majority of the kids from Wareham.
Yes.
I don't need a number. I'm just,
Yes, they are.
But you do take kids in from other towns and stuff.
We're only funded in Head Start in this territory for Wareham and Bourne.
Oh,
That's it.
I knew you had a lot of towns, I just didn't know if,
Right, but our Head Start grant only covers Wareham and Bourne in this area.
is this a safe statement to say you're kind of like pre-kindergarten?
We are pre-kindergarten.
Now, do you set the kids up in like classrooms by ages to kind of give them that structure? for lack of a better
Well,
word?
primarily 3 and 4-year-olds. And the criteria for eligibility is up to 130% of the federal poverty guidelines. So the households are extremely low income. That's a significant decrease in income that, as compared to fuel assistance, for example. Fuel assistance goes up to 60% of state median income. So these families are extremely low income. The other opportunity for families are we can take up to 10% of households regardless of income for Head Start if the children have disabilities. So there's a high percentage of disability as well. And income isn't considered in that instance.
Yeah, no, I'm not really concerned with all that. I'm just kind of kids, I mean, I'm just curious, and I know the playground has been removed from there, and you're gonna put you're not moving the playground from up on Onset Ave over there, are you?
We're not moving the playground, but our parking needs, and we're actually working with GAF Engineering as well, who did the initial survey for us. But now we're working with them for a redesign of the playground because we're gonna need some additional parking.
I actually looked at that today. I go by there, I don't know how many times a day, and look how many cars you had down there, and I said, boy, this is gonna be a squeeze to get parking in there. And you have a couple buses parked there sometimes, whatever, but and when are you hoping to move in?
Well, it definitely won't be June 30th, which is when our lease ends with the Oak Grove Cape Verdean group. We're hoping it'll be early spring at the latest,
Oh, early,
2025.
oh, 25, I'm trying to think what year we're, okay, we're
So-
going into winter, so you're hoping next spring?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Okay, yep, no,
We're fairly confident.
oh, good.
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing for the neighborhood in all that, I just think it's a big, major improvement,
Yes.
obviously.
Other questions? Let me ask my question about when you expect to have this done. All right, I think that's it then, thank you.
Oh, all right, thank you.
May I just,
Oh, yes, please.
again, we supported it, recommend favorable action. And I would say, I listened to your prior presentation, that the presentation that they provided to the CPC group was spectacular. I think we pulled most of it out and copied it for you.
Okay,
And I can't tell you that how great I think it is that a school building is reused. We sold it at auction to something that will benefit the community all the way around, and I can't endorse it any more than just saying thank you very much.
And I think Head Start is so important,
Very.
and especially in our community. Appreciate that.
I do actually have one question.
Alan, 1 minute. First, Andrea, and then I'll thank you.
You made the statement that you're hoping to get this funding to help with the exterior and then the interior. You made it sound like you still have a funding gap to get the interior done, or did I misunderstand that?
No, it's just that there is, the exterior progress is very visible.
Mhm.
So the interior, they're still doing plumbing and electrical, so it's just not as impressive on the inside right now.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't then some other financial barrier that would prevent it from being completed and opening when planning too. Okay,
Not that we're aware of.
thank you.
And if I may, it's because it's the historical restoration of,
Yes, Alan?
Just for institutional knowledge, Head Start came into Wareham through Marilyn Wally, who was the director of planning, et cetera. She got a grant, and able to be open to school, be basically redone to make it usable, et cetera. So this is just another ongoing piece where they move, and the town of Wareham finds a way to help with that as well. It's extremely important. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, thank you very much. And thank you for making the trip.
Thank you very much.
Good luck on your opening.
Yes, we'll definitely have an open house. I hope you can all come.
Oh, that would be great. Would love to see it. All right, next item is Article 15, Weweantic River Corridor Conservation Project, Buzzards Bay Coalition.
Can I stay?
No, me too.
Might as well.
Let's switch chairs.
Sure. How are you?
If you would please
Oh, you
introduce.
made yourself shorter.
Gotcha.
There we go. Now
Didn't
we're all
want
the
you to
same.
feel bad.
If you would please introduce yourself.
My name is Brendan Annette. I am Vice President of Watershed Protection at Buzzards Bay Coalition.
And your last name is spelled Annett?
Correct.
Thank you. That's for the minute taker mostly.
Sure.
And Brendan, if you would please just describe your project and what you're asking for here.
Sure. This is an open space conservation project. I think many folks in the community understand that in addition to other things, including the things people are familiar with, like the programming or at onset, the water quality work that we do, that we've also been engaged in open space land conservation. You'd be familiar with properties around Onset Bay that we've worked with the town and the land trust on, as well as properties up and down the Weweantic River, which has been one of our priority or focus areas, which actually matches up pretty well with the plans that the town has put in place for the master plan, the open space and recreation plan, and the community preservation plan. We have the opportunity to purchase a property that includes 215 acres of land in the northwest corner of Wareham along the east side of the Weweantic River. This comes from a cranberry grower, so a cranberry farm operation. It's Slocum Gibbs Cranberry. We have it under contract to purchase. It's a large property. It's 200 acres, 215 acres in Wareham. That's a portion of an overall property that's about larger than 700 acres in size, about 730 acres in size. It just extends along the river up into Carver. We're purchasing this piece of land for $5.8 million, and we're proposing to partner with the town. The partnership with the town would be that the Town of Wareham Conservation Commission holds the conservation restriction on the property. So Buzzards Bay Coalition would be the landowner, and our stewardship and land management staff would manage the property. The Conservation Commission would officially hold the legal conservation restriction, which is basically recorded against the deed and which is what permanently sets it as conservation land and sets that use. That's actually required by community preservation. Having an arrangement like that is required for many of the grants that we pursue. And in fact, we're pursuing a number of grants. The project has actually recently been awarded 2 state grants totaling $3.25 million. So that actually came in along with the park grant. Wareham did great last week with that news and the park grant. The town of Wareham also received a grant towards this project for $50,000, very similarly to the concept that Judy explained about the playground project. So the request is for $375,000 from the community preservation funds, but in fact, 50,000 of that per this grant that the contract came into the town last week, 50,000 will be reimbursed and will come back to the town. We're still waiting to hear on another federal grant from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and Buzzards Bay Coalition is actively fundraising for the remainder. The property will be open to the public. It'll be conservation land with trails. About a third of it is cranberry bogs. The majority of it is forested with some open meadows. We intend to actually do active wetland restoration on the cranberry bogs that are immediately along the river. We are reserving the option to continue to operate some of the cranberry bogs through a lease because we're evaluating them now and we understand that they actually might be quite productive and located and operable in such a way that they're their impact to water quality is minimized. So we're evaluating that now, but we would like to allow continued agriculture on some of the bogs. That said, all of the property, including the bog berms around those operable bogs, would be open to the public for recreational access, for walking, hiking, fishing, hunting. The property is large enough that it would be adequate for hunting. So I think that's the gist of it. The property is adjacent to, the property is along the west side of, largely along the west side of, looks like you have a map, Charlotte Furnace Road, with some frontage there, and actually has a nice boundary with the ball fields property up there. While not part of the project, I'm very committed. I think it would be a great idea to match the trail system up with the ball field parking lot, so that there's a trailhead leading directly from that town recreation area that can lead out into the property and connect with the trail system. So.
If I may.
Yes.
I think it's really important to recognize that Mr. Garrettson took the right way out of owning this property as opposed to selling it to a developer. I'm not sure how many acres of upland it is, but I assure you that he would be getting a substantially higher amount of money had he chosen to sell to a developer. The property is absolutely lovely. Unfortunately, the family has no interest in continuing farming it, and it has been in the family for a while. To me personally, I think it was a very generous thing for the individual to work with the coalition to sell for in perpetuity for the public.
Yeah, I think some of the air photos, because I see you have the packet, at least some of you do, that, I mean, you can see.
Everyone got it.
You can see the development pressure in that area of both Wareham and Carver, both with residential building, particularly since the pandemic. A lot of frontage lots have been built out there. And it's very apparent also, and I think people are aware of solar energy development on a lot of these forests. Not saying any of those things are bad. Our interest aligns with the town's interest, at least as set in the plans that it's made to protect land along the river because of the water quality benefits, the fish and wildlife habitat benefits, and these public recreation and access benefits.
Do you have any sense of, our big issue, of course, is nitrogen in the water, as you well know. Does preserving this kind of land for conservation have a measurable impact on
It
that?
does, and that is why they hired me to do this.
Okay. Can you
That is
just,
why we're involved.
can you
So-
expand on
sure,
that just a little bit?
Sure, so natural forests and natural wetlands, you may have heard before, filter water before it gets into the river and the bay. This both happens by assimilating some of that fertilizer or nutrient into plant material, but largely because of the soils that develop under those natural habitats, where microbial activity in forests and wetlands occurs, which removes the nitrogen from the water. So as the water's, as the nutrient-laden water, whether it be coming through the groundwater from septic systems or off fertilized lawns or from atmospheric deposition or stormwater, basically gets filtered, and a lot of that gets removed. It's like you're setting me up for that. That is why our organization is involved in land conservation. We love the fact that it's good for recreation and and wildlife, and it's scenic and all these things that other people are interested in. But that is the driver for us, and that's why we focus on protecting land, particularly along river corridors that contain the wetlands and forests. In addition, we've been doing research, and it's becoming well aware, and it's partly why the state has supported this, that restoring cranberry bogs to functioning natural wetlands actually does that even better.
Right.
And we've completed a number of projects like that. Folks are probably familiar with the wetland restoration and dam removal around the lower Weebiantic River that we completed a few years ago. We just completed a spectacular project over on Acushnet Road in Mattapoisett that is 15 minutes down the road, but if you have a chance, come take a look. It's remarkable, and you can easily see sort of how it's done and what the outcome is, and it's open to the public and becomes a great public recreation resource.
Well, you are called the Buzzards Bay Coalition, so it makes sense that you're
Yeah.
concerned about what's going into Buzzards Bay. Questions? Yes. You go first.
The land itself, because it was used for cranberry bogs, is there a lot of contaminated soil? Is there expenses that are gonna be taken on potentially in the future in terms of?
Yeah, so the remember you eat the food off of that, and while chemicals are used and have been applied to all cranberry bogs in this town and all the surrounding towns, those aren't regulated the same way because they're agricultural use. The things that we will do with them will not disturb them or move them. The trails will be on the existing berms where that hasn't happened. So it's I understand what you're saying, and yes is the answer to your question, and there's no intention of ours to change that. We have done environmental site assessment, and there's an area around a barn where some cleanup is happening and is being paid for by the seller. Other things were like removing the buildings and materials, the buildings like pump houses, old barns, before we take ownership. So things like that are normal precautions that we take after doing the environmental site assessment. We've done that, and we have a clear path forward.
Heidi?
You mentioned that you're going to allow some of the cranberry bog to return to natural wetlands, but you also said that some of the cranberry bogs are gonna be functional. Who's gonna run those cranberry bogs? Are you gonna lease them out?
We're gonna try to find a partner to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck to us.
Yeah.
I think there will be interest because we're working with the current grower, who has connections with some others. I say good luck to us just because we protect other lands, and we're typically not trying to stop agricultural activities. We want to move those agricultural activities back from the water courses for the reasons we talked about, but local farming is not a bad thing.
Right.
And in this case, what we know already is that that some of these bogs are high production, meaning they're the ones that you don't want to retire. You want to keep going, especially if we can be assured that we can maintain water quality, which we think we can because we have other bogs on the property that we can restore that can do the natural functioning of basically filtering the water before it returns to the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just have a comment. My son went to the Bay Explorers and Sail Camp this summer and had
I think I saw him there
blast.
and he just couldn't stand it. I could tell. All the kids were not. I mean, I walked in and all the kids were just pouting.
This
Yeah.
is a sports kid. He has no interest he had so much fun, he couldn't wait to go back. So now he wants to do the after school program. Do you see this area providing space for youth programs in the future?
I thought you were gonna say, could we set it up so that all of us as adults could go to onset every day? 'Cause
I
every
would
day-
love that
Every time I
too,
stop
but-
by there for something I have to do and I look out the window in the summer, I feel like I wish I was a kid. We're certainly considering it, right? This cost is related to step one, but the Onset Bay Center has proven to be extraordinarily successful for doing what originally the town and BBC intended it for, which was connect kids and families to this extraordinarily place where we're so lucky to live. And our board and leadership group is interested in, hey, can that model be replicated elsewhere? And it certainly occurred to me as I was looking at this property that the Buzzards Bay area isn't just about the water, it's about the river and the woods and the bogs and things. And so I think that's a possibility, but that I can't,
Way down the line.
Can't promise.
no way. Yeah, I can't, there's no commitment to that. It's sort of evaluating the best places, you know, the where the need is the most and where it would work the best, which was a long process for onset in itself, yeah.
Thank you.
Town of Wareham gets a conservation restriction on the 215 acres.
Yes.
What about the other acreage? Is there?
Yeah, that will all be restricted as well. The Carver Conservation
Carver,
Restriction will hold that, yeah. Yeah, we're going through the similar process parallel in Carver, yeah.
Don't tell me you have no questions, Jody.
Why do it all that? Usually you look at me first, I was a little stumped.
Norman, before you continue, I'd like to say goodbye. I have to go into the services.
All right,
With fellow Jewish people of faith, and Happy New Year. Be safe, shout out to all, and we'll see you in a couple of days.
Happy New Year and thank you for joining us for the time you could.
Thank you.
You're still looking for some funding. My kind of I first of all, I'm kind of surprised. I thought you were going to ask for more money. I saw this project coming down the road. Yeah, believe me, I'm the last person in this room that likes to spend money, but I just thought it was going to be more.
Would you like to know what the CPC committee tried to do? They tried to give him more
Trying to
money.
increase it.
Well, I'm not surprised. You
No,
know,
I
but
mean, you
that's
know,
neither
they-
here
yeah,
nor but you're
yeah.
still looking for some funding. Is the seller going to be patient while you try to get all your eggs in order?
The
saying-
seller is patient, but we are targeting a closing in June of next year. So we do quite a bit of this. You're familiar with the number of examples that I explained in Falmouth. We've also done several large projects like this. We did one that actually included 5 towns of Marion, Mattapoisett, Acushnet, Fairhaven, and Rochester recently. The complexity of it is something that we balance at the beginning, but I certainly will bring back your suggestion as I'm planning a project for next year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing. I mean, this is what I think CPC money should be used for. Because there's few things I'm totally opposed to using CPC money.
Yeah, but
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of, and you know, we bring projects to CPC, I'm proud to do this, that of trying to leverage outside sources of funding. And it's actually a model that you're pointing out something, that's a model that's worked very well for us, because for some projects, not all, we're able to pursue federal funding. If federal funding looks likely, this, you know, and the state can put in some money and we can demonstrate that the local community not only supports the project, but is willing to put in a little money with CPC resources, the local towns around here, including Wareham, are obligated to protect some open space in their town, that it creates a model that's compelling to all the different partners at the different levels to support, and that benefits us here in this region.
And I would assume also it helps create an incentive for private citizens also to make their donations when they see all the support.
That's right, yeah.
All right, yes?
You said you're going through the same process in parallel with the town of Carver, so where are you with them in terms of, have they approved?
Not as far along, just because their process is not as far along as yours, yeah. So it'll go to town meeting in the spring.
All right. If that's all,
The select board heard a presentation because we had to vote on whether we wanted the Conservation Commission to hold the CR. It was enthusiastically supported when that came up, and then it was enthusiastically supported last night as well, just so you know that.
thank you.
I have a fact, because it comes up, and I'll share it with you, because it may be helpful if people are asking about the project. It is an agricultural property, so it is in chapter 61. And so the tax revenue that the town receives for the property that we're talking about, because it has the chapter 61 assessment currently in place, the annual tax revenue is $1,450. So just so that you're aware that that's not the type of thing that is really impacting this project. Or, this project doesn't have
Our bottom line.
a significant impact to the revenue coming into town.
And that will continue.
There would be
Will be
no
no
tax on the conservation land.
Yeah.
But
Oh, right.
it's gonna cost us $1,000 a year. Great. All right, thank you very much. That's a good point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And that brings us to the moment when I have to leave the room and turn the gavel over to the Vice Chair, Brianna King. I am on the Board of Directors of Damien's Pantry, which is the grantee for the next item. I'll be out in the hallway until this discussion is over.
Hello.
Hi,
You just want to introduce yourself?
I'm Rachel Resendes. I'm the new executive director for Damien's Place. I'm coming here, this was a project that Nick was doing with the previous executive, so I'm gonna have him speak on this matter because he's been more in depth in it.
Hi, I'm Nick Deacus. I'm a board member at Damien's Pantry. So Damien's Pantry is right up the street. We built that, we opened in February. And we opened the first phase of the garden in May of last year. We currently have 33 beds. We're asking for 33,800, which is a small but not insignificant amount. That would finish the garden. Put another irrigation line in that we would need. Put the fence up as well. So we opened that garden, it was kind of a blur, right? Cause we opened up in February. We didn't know how much demand we were gonna get, if this thing was gonna be successful or not, but we got everything in and we were open by May 1st in the garden with all the beds filled. Since then, it's been going pretty well. We have a lot of demand. We have people on the wait list, not 20 people, but 4 or 5, but we're pretty confident in the success of this garden, and I don't think 20 more beds is gonna be much of an issue to fill.
Does anyone have any questions?
Sure.
Do you have any more land to further expand once you put that's it?
This would be it, yeah.
Okay, all right.
This would be it. We put the permanent fence around it. Right now, we're using a temporary construction fence, but we would put a fence around it, and that would be it.
Now, is it one family per bed?
There's
So to speak?
there's a $25 fee for a bed. We'll waive that fee if somebody has a hardship. We give preference to Wareham people. I mean, it's really our hope that between the trailer park and Woods of Wareham and the new construction that's going on, that people from there would take advantage of that. That's our hope. I mean, it's not working out that way right now. There's, out of the 33, there's probably 3 or 4, but we didn't really market it either because of just the timing of it.
Yeah.
Right, we were trying to get it open, see who was gonna participate, but now, so the timing of this, if it gets approved, the people who build our beds built our building, so that it's really it's nice material. It gives them some inside work during the winter. All those beds would be delivered by April. As soon as the weather breaks, we'll put the irrigation in, and we'll be out by March 15th March 15th at the or April 15th at the latest. But I think it will be well before that.
Have you found any families that have kind of started the bed and then deserted it?
Not really. I walked through last night, man, and it looks good. I
Yeah.
mean, some people have ripped up their beds because it's their
Right.
season's
Right.
over,
Yeah, what
but
they did was over, but they've been very respectful and like everything's
Yeah.
been kept clean and they put everything there. It's been nice to see everybody's had pride in what their little patch of land is that they're doing their stuff on, which is what we wanted.
Great.
And we have a garden, so a director of the garden, and they meet, I think, every other month on a Tuesday. They have a committee, they teach people how to plant if they want and take suggestions, and it's working out pretty well. We have some very good participation.
I have a question. I have seen in various spots where people have expressed frustration about the parking there and the number of cars that are there. Does adding these additional plots take away from any of what already sounds like it's a?
So the garden guidelines list parking. So we're open on Thursday and we're open on Saturday. So those guidelines, you're not supposed to come to the garden until 10 o'clock on those days, because by that time, that parking lot's
emptied.
open. So they're not trying to get in during,
They can't come during
they
service.
can't come during the service.
Yeah, let me rephrase my question. I'm not asking from that standpoint of more people coming parking issue, although that's a good point that I didn't think of. But where these beds are going is in no way going to take away from what the
No,
parking
there's
at all, 'cause it
nobody-
already
No,
sounds like
it's
there's
other
quite a
land
challenge.
that can't be used for parking or
Okay.
anything.
All our parking is on the asphalt. This is all gravel, and it's if you're looking at that building to the right between us and the restaurant.
And then I had one more question. In your application, you have that the cost of the proposed project was $38,800, but then in your details, it says that the budget is attached as attachment 2, and that the budget of the project is $39,550.
No, it's 38,000, and we have a donor for 5,
Okay,
so we're asking for 33,800
okay, so the $39,550 is
is incorrect,
correct,
yeah.
okay. And then there was no attachment 2, I don't know if that just didn't end up in here, that has the actual budget, what it's being spent on.
We submitted that, but I'm not sure. I didn't see it in mine either. I thought I lost it, so I don't know if we submitted that as another attachment, but we can certainly get that to you.
Okay, thank you.
What's the dimensions of a bed?
They're 5 by 10,
How deep?
2.5 feet.
So you can grow a lot of root.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And we don't allow, so people can get the same bed year after year, but we don't allow perennials. So everything gets ripped up and started new in the spring.
What about the soil, the rotation of the soil? Do the ones that rent it do responsible?
We'll do that, yes.
You do it?
No, they'll do
They'll
it.
do it,
I
okay.
mean, this is our first year, but it needs to get done. But these beds are, that high, so it's gonna be hard we're gonna have to get a small rototiller to do it. But I think when we do that, we'll do them all at once for everybody.
So and the veggies are having good luck growing.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
There's been a really
It's
good
been a good
amount of them,
year.
yeah.
We're doing
And the
fine.
extras
They're
people have been
doing better-
donating to the pantry, so that's been good too.
Doing
So-
better than the stuff at my house.
It's called the sun.
Yeah, and some people put some fall stuff in. I was just looking, they have, pumpkins going and other things going, so that's cool too.
So you have a big variety of crops, would you say? People
Yeah, with a lot of
doing
different stuff.
different
Yeah.
things.
Some
A lot
people
of
have beautiful
different-
sunflowers there that they're doing. I
Maybe
mean, they look
trading
great
off a tomato for a cucumber.
and- Yeah,
That's good.
peppers and, yeah, they've had a bunch of stuff. Eggplant.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea.
Actually, Mr. Deacon was asked if he didn't want more CPA money, and he was adamant that he didn't need any more CPA money. It's important to recognize that the entire project was started off by donated land from the Deacon family, and then the entire fundraising of $1 million, help me out here.
A lot.
Yeah, and came in,
Yeah.
the building came in exactly on budget. It's been a community-supported opportunity from day one, including when it was over on the railroad tracks and an almost unbelievably difficult place to get to or out of. Again, the select board enthusiastically supported it, but it was funny because they were trying to give the CPC money, they were trying to give all people money except for us. Yeah, us being the playground.
Well, I
But,
mean,
yeah.
we encourage people to come to the pantry, and it's a choice pantry, which means you can walk through and take what you want. But, we encourage people to take what they need and what they want and not
Mhm.
overtake, so I don't wanna do that here either. I mean, we know how to bring it in on budget and we will get it done.
And I know there was concern about the parking and stuff too, just so you know, it has been addressed. We, if you've noticed, it's calmed down on social media. We did a lot of restructuring of how things were being done outside with the parking, the timing and getting people out, so it changed the turnover time, which has been much more beneficial and it's quieted down. We did send notices to them. And I've definitely, I'm ramping up a lot of what we're doing in Wareham so that we can make ourselves more present to the people within the community that we're reside, we have our facility in. So we have a bunch of the things coming up right now so that Wareham families can be more focused.
You're learning on the fly, it's a new building, new everything,
That's
so.
it. That's the fun of
Learning
it.
as you go along, which is a good thing.
Never boring.
When I first started volunteering down at the old Ocean Spray building, we were doing like 120, 130 a week. That was before COVID. And today we're doing probably like 520 a week.
And you do a lot of surrounding towns.
We do Plymouth County, Bristol County.
So we've had a large
we do-
uptick too in Wareham in the last
We do both
6 weeks or so.
Bristol and Plymouth County.
Just trying to put the
It's a lot.
counties in my
It's a large
head,
area.
yeah, it's a big
No, it
area.
is. It's a large area,
And
yeah.
I mean, Wareham, New Bedford and Brockton are our three biggest
Mhm.
towns, but where people come from.
So people drive down from Brockton?
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Are we the largest food bank in the area?
We are. And I think there's not, I don't know,
Sorry, Brianna.
and choice too, which is important, was very important to us. When we first started down at the Ocean Spray building, we were doing like 80 people was a big day, so we'd do 80 and maybe 40 or 50 on the weekday. And we could kind of get through choice, but it would take us like 4 hours to do that, 4 or 5 hours. And then COVID hit, so nobody could go in the building. So we would pre-pack the carriages, people would come and would push them out and they'd take them. But that's a lot of waste. You're giving people, a head of cabbage, they might not like cabbage or know how to cook cabbage. You're giving, so there's a lot of waste in that. Now, you go through, it's like a supermarket, we have 4 aisles, they're all identical. So people go through, at the back end, the produce and the meat and the dairy, and then out the door. And when that building is operating at full capacity, we can do 80 and we can do probably 90 to 100 people an hour.
An hour, yeah.
And everybody, if they've been there before and they wanna shop on their own, they can. If they need some help or they don't understand the system,
Or they
first
need a
timers.
translator,
Right.
anything like that,
We
it's
give them
available.
a volunteer to walk them through. So it's a good operation.
And they're getting healthier. We promote the healthier things when we're shopping out at Boston, Great and Boston Food Bank, and we do our ordering. We're making sure we're trying to get as much as we can allotted of the healthier options for them. So and then they are getting 3 proteins, fresh proteins, be it fish, steak, chicken, anything like pork, on each visit, and they get 5 pieces of produce, fresh produce. So it could be a bag of onions, potatoes, and carrots, and something else, or a double serving of fresh corn we've had lately and stuff like that. So
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
I swear the table moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the last thing on our agenda tonight is liaison reports. If anyone has anything that they'd like to say about their liaison committee?
A couple of things I requested Norma to wait till I come back from my vacation to do these, because I thought these were all good projects. I really do. I think they're important to the community. I think it's important that we support them. Because there are things that come out of CPC money that I have totally opposed to, and I'll leave it at that. But I think all these projects were a good thing. Liaisons, I mean, that last meeting 2 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Whatever it was.
Last time you were
I
here.
asked about the school and getting correspondence from them. We all got the links today and I went on and I opened up for the next, I knew this meeting coming up, I'd already seen the agenda, there really wasn't a lot on there that I'll still watch the meeting, but I was interested in. And I did go on and open up the packet, however, I mentioned this to Norma, I went on to look at some old meetings in the packets, and this is the page that comes up, it all looks good, but nothing opens.
I was actually able to open the others. I went.
These,
Yes,
then what am I
the
doing
most
wrong?
recent ones, yes.
most recent one I could open.
Okay, you're
This
talking about
meeting coming up
older.
this week, this isn't the archives per se, this was 24 and 23, I guess, was they kind of break it down, and you know, there was things on there I was interested from the past meetings, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, if somebody could tell me.
It's hard to navigate for me. I had the same somewhat of an issue. I went and I only saw for 2024 to 2025. And then I had to go again through the website to search, and then it says archived.
Yep.
Were you able to access what was in the archives? Or did
Yeah, you
try?
kind of have to like right click over the blue and then it pops up a little box and then you click it and it'll open up the page. It's a little harder to, I think, navigate because I'm pretty tech savvy and it was definitely
I
difficult for
will
me.
try that, I saw a little, yeah, I tried right clicking, double clicking, and all those clickings,
Yeah.
you know, they just weren't opening for me. And the other part I brought up was about the bill warrant.
Right.
Are they willing to share that stuff with us, or they want us to go to the selectman's office and look at it?
I will ask for that.
You know,
It's sometimes on the agenda, right?
it's on the agenda of every meeting.
Okay, and it's not one of the materials that's provided? I thought I thought when I was looking back through a
It's
past
never been-
meeting, I did find it.
I've never seen it.
All right, well, I will ask specifically about that. All right, anybody else
I
want
do
to?
have, I don't have a liaison report. Normally, because Concom meets on Wednesdays, I've relied on minutes. But I've noticed recently, there's no minutes posted, it's only the meetings themselves. Which is fine if that's what I have to do,
The video of meetings or?
the video of meetings,
Okay,
but
no
no
minutes
minutes
at all.
posted. No, it's not even a menu choice.
Okay.
Is that something I should, you wanna email Josh
We have a
or-
select board member here. I don't know if
Oh.
you're able to speak to this, or I know this is a question from time to time about minutes.
May I speak? May I approach?
Please identify yourself.
Yes. My name is Sherry Quirk and I'm a member of the select board and I am also the liaison to Concom. And what I'll do is speak with the chair of Concom. You know, what can happen is a minute taker can be in place. They cease doing it and it can take a little bit of time to find someone else. I will look into this and then get back to you with what I find.
Okay,
Thank you.
And I don't have anything, the sewer commission, so I was trying to, I didn't see much, but was there just a new commissioner
Yes.
elected,
Or appointed, yes.
appointed? So yeah, I'll keep checking in on that, but.
And just to be clear, it's not expected that every time I have liaison reports on the agenda that everyone has to give a liaison report. It's just if you do have something important to share. Jerry, you're not on capital planning anymore, so, and Alan is not here, but I believe capital planning is gonna have either just had a meeting or is going to have one, and our meeting that takes us to next meeting. I don't have any 48-hour business. Next meeting is next week, the 9th. That should be our last meeting until the night of town meeting, when we will have a very brief check-in in case we have any last-minute business we have to take care of. But next week, Derek will return and discuss all the remaining articles that we haven't already heard. So hopefully we're gonna be in good shape for getting a report cranked out and all of the votes next week. We'll just vote on everything. So please be prepared for that. If anyone is not gonna be here in person, but by Zoom, just be sure and let me know.
We'll vote on the ones Derek presents next week.
Yes,
that night, too,
we'll
yeah.
vote on everything next week, so we don't have,
Nothing earth shattering there.
there's no, yeah, they're all, everything he's bringing, almost everything he's bringing is very routine. In any event, we need the report out on the 17th because of the holiday that's coming up, the Monday holiday. So it would be, we just need to get everything taken care of next week. All right, any questions on that?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's go.
We run a very efficient meeting.